Well, good morning, Joginder Rana here. Laying waste to the west. This is the topic of our discussion today. Laying waste to the west. See, Trump's belligerence on Greenland is splitting the Western Alliance. Depending on what he does, NATO could collapse. Thing is, many mega heavyweights will relish that. Rasmi Roshanlal says, several months after a chilling scenario about possible Russian aggression, and Europe became a bestseller. It may be time to update both cast and script. The book by German international relations professor Carlo Masala is titled If Russian Wins, a scenario set in 2028. It imagines the audacious Russian military takeover of a small town in Estonia, some years after Ukraine has been strong armed into an unfair peace agreement. Not only does the plot affirm Russia's dastardly intentions toward the Baltic states and Europe, it serves as a test of NATO. It fails, though collective defense is a founding principle of the 32 member military alliance. NATO offers no pushback. Fast forward to 2026. Trump's desire to seize Greenland is roiling transatlantic trade and politics. Trump restated his psychological need for the world's largest island soon after the January 3rd kidnapping of Venezuela's president and capture of its oil reserves. So by mid-Jan, the US president's focus on Greenland has begun to seem deadly serious, even sinister. So White House says the acquisition of Greenland is a national security priority of the United States and the use of military means is always an option. So Trump issues steep rising scales of extra tariffs on 7 EU countries and UK for opposing his wish to take Greenland. So European bristles and calls the act and its intention unacceptable and completely wrong. The EU leaders continue to offer a verbal defense of mineral-rich Greenland's settled status as an autonomous territory of Denmark. They stress the need to uphold the UN Charter, not least sovereignty, territorial integrity, and inviolability of borders, which the top Trump party dismisses as international niceties. So EU and Britain have even dispatched small numbers of troops to the ice-covered island as a symbolic show of NATO's resolve to protect Greenland. But the stated enemy is Russia. Sotovos, European officials and diplomats start to whisper the unsayable. The America Threat Q, an updated alternative book titled to the bestseller on malign Russia, If Rogue America Wins. So for the first time since 2019, when Trump's wished why Greenland was greeted with gales of laughter, the mood has turned somber. The frozen Arctic island with an ironic name generally seems under threat. And a strange and scary twist it comes from US, NATO and Europe's main security generator and keystone of the rules-based international orders set up after World War II. So for it's entirely plausible that the US could take a slice of territory in Europe without a single shot being fired. It could just dispatch troop reinforcements, a few thousand extra personnel to the existing US Pacific Space Base on Greenland's northwest coast. Last March, Trump told Congress that US troops might just show up on Greenland one day, and a scenario reportedly gamed out by Danish officials. Trump could lay claim a Greenland by simply announcing via a late night Truth Social post that the territory is now an American protectorate. So Biden has begun to worry that Trump might champion his what is Xavier Milei's demand. The Falklands Island be handed over to Argentina some 44 years after winning a 10-week war to repulse Argentina invasion of the British territory. Unsurprisingly, Thucydides' famous quote is trending even among those who know nothing about the Peloponnesian War. The strong do what they can and the weak suffer what they must. It says something that Trump plans to soon start building a Trumpian arc in Washington DC. So loosely modeled on European victory monuments from a bygone age, he fancies himself in the mood of the late 19th century President William McKinley, who led sustained bout of American expansionism with the annexation of Hawaii, Puerto Rice, Philippines, and American Samoa. So is it a given that European countries, colonizers of yesterday, are forced to submit to a new imperial order? Only if they did nothing at all. A massive military defense of Greenland appears unlikely, a point on which both Trump's aides and Danish legislators seem to agree. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller has already contemptuously ruled out the need for force because nobody is going to fight the United States military over the future of Greenland. And a Danish lawmaker recently said it was absurd to even consider defending against invasion of an enormous island of ice nearly 4 times the size of France. But it's not like the Europe has no leverage. Jeremy Cliffs of the European Council on Foreign Relations has argued for threatening Trump with serious deterrent measures and, if necessary, implementing them. So Cliff suggests tariffs, taxes, and bans on U.S. firms, sell-offs of U.S. treasuries, expulsions of American troops, sanctions on individuals. Others on the continent are starting to speak on war-like terms once considered unthinkable for long-standing Western allies. So remove the nearly 70,000 U.S. troops stationed across Europe, close some military installations, refuse to refuel U.S. ships at European ports. The parallel PR operations aimed at ordinary Americans, many of whom cherish their European heritage, could help, while mega ideologues might be pleased to see NATO dead. Average Joe may not be thrilled at the prospect of hostilities with the British, French, German, Spanish, Italian, Dutch, and others. So the danger in letting Trump get Greenland one way or the other, to use his words, is it sets off a chain reaction. Rogue America wins, so does Russia, as the bestseller posted. US, Russia, and China carve up spheres of influence to mutual satisfaction. And who is to say Trump won't someday be minded to turn a greedy gaze on Scotland's Isle of Lewis, where his mother was born and raised before she emigrated to US, and a new international disorder would become the way of the world. Thank you. Thank you very much.